Hey guys, he's on schizophrenia and acute hopelessness. Schizophrenia and hopelessness. But before we get to this, please allow my brief prelude. As you know, I conveniently recorded it for our mutual comfort, our mutual convenience, and our mutual luxury. And hey, listen, I'm no spring chicken. I know I get it all the time. I get mistaken for a spring chicken all the time. I attest, though, I'm not a spring chicken. I've been around a few preludes in my many years. I'm telling you, this prelude's got something particularly luxurious. Like a boggle.
Hello there, my name is Robert Francis. You've stumbled on my Unconquering Schizophrenia YouTube
Not everybody's
channel.
going to know boggle.
Me and the bird.
It's an old game.
That's right. We talk schizophrenia.
That's Mikey Zereni, flies in the sun over vast bodies of calm water. Today he's in Washington.
I'm a licensed clinical social
the state.
worker times 15 years.
The Potomac.
I've been diagnosed with schizophrenia for a score
The Potomac in
5
Washington?
and that puts a little gray
I
fleck
don't
in
know,
my
Potomac
beard.
River? Where is that anyway?
Thank you for joining me on my channel. Now to topic.
You know, one of the worst things of psychosis, perhaps the worst thing, when psychosis onsets for me is I feel hopeless. I feel like there's no escape when I'm psychotic, and that's why it's psychotic, pardon the French, hell, psychotic hell. When I get psychotic, it's terrifying, and I get paranoid and persecutory. That's how I feel when I get psychotic. And when it initially onsets or when it's active, there's always instances of hopelessness. That's why it is so despairing, because I feel like there's no hope. And, living without hope is impossible. It really is, if you know what I mean. If you've ever been void of hope, it's no way to live. You can't live without hope. Where there's life, there's hope, they say. So I go through psychosis, and it goes through a cycle of hopelessness, and hopefulness restores. It restores, and then it becomes hopeless again. And then it restores, and then I get hopeless again. And it's a cycle. And when I get out of the psychosis, then hope restores in total. The hope is back. When I'm not psychotic anymore, I have hope again. But when I'm in psychosis, the hopelessness is the worst part of it all, and it cycles. And I have to remember all the time that when I'm psychotic, that hope cycles, and that when I'm back to my rational faculties, hope will restore. But the hardest part of psychosis for me is hopelessness. And if you've ever experienced total hopelessness, you know what I mean. It's very despairing, and it makes you feel like you just don't want to go on. What's the point of going on? But when hope restores, life restores. And without hope, life is nothing. So don't take hope for granted either. If you have it, if you're not hopeless, and that means you're hopeful, and recognize it, and certainly don't take it for granted. Where there's life, there's hope, they say, and you got to remember that. And that's very luxurious, like a game of boggle. Maybe you don't know the game of boggle because it was probably in the 80s, 90s, but it's a good one. If you don't know it, look it up. If you do know it, good luck. We'll see you next time.